According to Geoffrey of Monmouth, immediately after Constantine left Britain and went to Rome to defeat his rival Maxentius, a person in Britain called Octavius rebelled against the empire. And then, once he did that, a general from Constantine called Trajan was sent over to Britain to deal with him. And they fought along the south coast of Britain, but Trajan was defeated. And so he sailed up to the border of England and Scotland and started causing havoc there. Then Octavius went and fought against him again, except this time Octavius was defeated and he was kicked out of Britain and he sailed away to Norway. And that was the end of him for a while. But this rebellion is not referred to in any Roman account, any contemporary account. So obviously there's the clear possibility that this was just a fictional rebellion made up by Geoffrey of Monmouth. But while I was investigating this, I found some very interesting evidence that indicated that that wasn't necessarily the case. Even though there's no written account of this by the Romans, there is apparently coinage evidence that indicates, well, that shows that in 314, Constantine returned to Britain for some reason, we don't know why. And to put this into context, the year when Constantine left Britain to defeat Maxentius, the year he was travelling over to defeat Maxentius was 312. So 314, just 2 years later, Constantine returned to Britain for some reason. Then the next year, in 315, we know that he acquired the title Britannicus Maximus, which apparently means the great victor in Britain. So, even though we don't know for sure, the evidence indicates that it was probably a rebellion that caused Constantine to return to Britain because he needed to deal with that. So, this fits in quite well, I think, with what Geoffrey wrote. According to Geoffrey of Monmouth, once this rebellion had started, the first attempt to stop it by the Romans was it wasn't successful. This Briton, Octavius, defeated the first Roman attack against his rebellion, and it was only later, on the second occasion, when he was finally defeated. So, in my opinion, it is quite reasonable to suppose that after Octavius was first victorious against Trajan, one of Constantine's generals, Constantine decided the situation was serious enough that he needed to personally go and intervene. There must have been quite a serious situation in Britain at that time to justify Constantine returning to Britain, which we know he did, in spite of the fact that there were all sorts of issues and uprisings and things going on in the empire in general. So there must have been a serious situation in Britain in 314 that he needed to deal with. So I think that the idea that this general Trajan was sent against Octavius and was then defeated at first makes sense of the situation. And then by the time news had travelled of Octavius rising up, and then Trajan was sent against Octavius, and then they fought, and then Octavius was victorious, then Trajan sent word back to Constantine about the situation, then Constantine finally decided to go and return. I think we can justify the span from 312 to 314 being the year when Constantine finally arrived. And then that would be when the second battle took place up in the north of Britain, when Octavius was finally defeated, and then Constantine acquired the title the Great Victor in Britain, Britannicus Maximus. So yeah, I think this really this provides some convincing evidence that Geoffrey did not just invent this rebellion that took place in the very early years of Constantine's reign, but that it did in fact take place.